First of all, we have a meeting Thursday after next. I know Gary's presenting, but I'm not sure what he has planned. So maybe Gary and Patrick will show up and we'll get it.
I was going to say, when I was talking to Gary before, he was putting together his gallery exhibition. You know, he put together a show in Round Rock, and he kind of suggested that he might talk about how he did the selection of his pictures and things, how he made his gallery show.
Just hang on to it or put it in that rack. We have an exhibition that's going on right now at Water to Wine, and they have invited us to have a reception.
So we're having a closing reception on the final Thursday of this month, which is the 30th or the 29th, something like that. It's right before Halloween. And it'll be the same time slot, 7 to 9, or 6 to 8. 6 to 8, yeah, sorry. We can bring snacks. They obviously want to be pouring the wine because that is what they do. But since it's a closing reception, anybody who wants to buy anything can buy and cash and carry, assuming it's for sale. So we have that. Yes?
So if we have pictures that are there, do we take it that day too?
Technically, we're supposed to be up until November 1st. But if somebody buys something, we can cut them some slack. The other thing is that we have the Jester Show at the beginning of next year, and it's closing fast, and obviously we need a lot of pictures for that, so start planning what you want to submit to that competition. And they want larger prints. And then we have the library show shortly after that, so be ready.
You got any update on the PPA one? That's about what I was going to talk about, Stephen. We have been invited, Roy Nerdick came last meeting and invited NAPfS to participate in APPA's annual print competition. This is where they bring a quote print case, which is all digital today. So they can bring up to 5 images, and we can bring up to 5 images, 4 of which will count towards the competition for best print case. They have a limited set of the PPA categories. They have weddings, they don't have reportage, but they have a general case that'll take anything that we would submit as far as competition. Their image constraints are kind of like ours, particularly if you mix in mirrored image reviews, which is the top level of competition in PPA. Basically, we're looking at an image that's 3840 by whatever the shorter edge is. Their spec says JPEG 10, which is Photoshop's way of outputting and specifying JPEG consideration. That's a JPEG at 80% if you're exporting from Lightroom. The competition will be Sunday, November 9th at Austin Beer Works.
Do you have a mic flipped here? If you're holding a mic and you're reading over the feedback.
Is my other mic good? I'm so used to having the handheld mic. So competition is Sunday, November 9th at Austin Beer Works. There will be 3 PPA qualified jurors there. Actually, they'll be remote. We'll have a big screen so we can drink beer and jeer at the judges and disagree with them. They will be graded on the standard PPA. 80 is a mirrored image, you've done good. Below 80, it's not qualifying. There will be all kinds of images submitted. You can go to APPA's website And on the front page, they have some of the most recent images. Something we haven't seen here that would be welcomed in this competition are partial high quality nudes. So there are several members that do nude images. So those are welcome. Let's see. Say again? There's no limitation on time or how it was captured. Basically, from our point of view, there's just no limitation on what we can enter in the competition. Entries currently will not open until the 30th of October. They will close on the 7th, and the competition is Sunday, the 9th. Yes. They use, and all of the PPAs counted today, use a website called printcompetition.com. You'll find a link on APPA's website to that, or you can go there directly. Take a mic, please, sir.
Would you say again the name of website?
We'll get it posted up on the website and all the details pointing to APPA on the website. There's still some effort going on to get the competition open sooner so we can submit. Yes.
Okay, so when I looked at the website, I will have a few questions. One thing with looking at the website, it wants you to log in. And
Which
can you
website?
The image
APPA?
submission one. I think it's the image submission one. One links to the other, but if you want to look at any details, then it seems like you need to create an account.
Right.
And can we create an account for free? It seemed, I don't know. I didn't follow
I
through
think
with
there's a
it.
free account.
And then,
I created a little better account so I can watch and listen to competitions and get critiques back.
yeah, so however that works, it would be, if the instructions tell us, because right now when I just looked at, I started to look at some of the different things and it seemed like, oh, you have to be able to log in, create an account. It starts asking questions, and so I didn't know. That's why I'm sort of wanting to find out. And then in the presentation last month, he said that like entering the competition thing was free, and then it seems like it's also cost money to enter pictures to the competition. And is that
It's
per
going to
picture?
depend upon what APPA's board of directors decides to put on the price to enter an image. It may be $10 or $20. I'm
Per
not sure.
image or per
Per
set?
image.
Okay, never mind.
It's also a $5 charge to get a critique back on your image from one of the judges. John, I didn't quite hear you. I think the critique is +5. You can dig through the website. There will be another APPA competition opening up in a few days, and you can go dig deeper into that and see what's going on. I've got to get with the competition manager at APPA and get the details for us, which we'll put up on the website.
Is American Public Power Association APPA, or what kind of different? Is it APPA net or APPA org? Or
Can you?
what is the
decide?
address?
He wants to know the website. Like, he wants to know the actual website. But I think you said you're going to put instructions
Yeah,
together
we'll
and
post
put it.
instructions on the NAPfS website of where to go.
I'm looking now.
But you should be able to find austinppa.com.
Okay, I'll see.
Yeah, I looked at it.
And the, on the upper left-hand corner, there is monthly competition tab and annual competition tab. And you can go to the annual competition tab to get everything that they have published. The only thing I expect to see change is probably the opening date to enter images in the annual print competition. The big difference that we're going to see from what we typically do here and what we'll do for APPA is that PPA wants a presentation and judges the presentation of the image. Now that's basically a digital mat for folks here. So you want to create a mat and put it behind your image. For people that want help on Photoshop, I'll be available to deal with that. I've already told Nick Grossman that I will meet with him and go through how to do the digital matting. I probably ought to just write that up since nobody really has hands-on doing that. But if you're reasonably comfortable in Photoshop, it's a piece of cake to do. Any more questions on print competition? We have, as a group, some outstanding images. So the people that have been winning need to compete. And some of the people that haven't been winning are sitting on really nice images that may be too old. Those need to be brought out and put in this competition because APPA thinks this is a competition between the professionals and the amateurs. And I view it more as a competition between the paycheck and the artist. And this is the artist. Any other announcements? Go ahead, Clay.
Sure. Clay Laban, Membership Coordinator, and thank you all for coming tonight. Real good turnout. I want to recognize Dustin, who's a guest and visitor.
Welcome.
Nice that he stopped in, so if you haven't had a chance, just go up to him and say hi after the meeting. And then Ron Terry, back there, joined during last meeting. He comes with Cheryl, and so great, Ron. Let's see, I think everybody here is pretty familiar with the club. We are a membership, volunteer-only club. Would you like to say more about the officers that we need to re-elect?
It's, time to start looking for 2026 officers. I have been told I'm not allowed to volunteer again.
By whom?
By the War Department. And she outranks me.
The home front.
She literally outranks me.
Yes, okay. So we're going to we need some new nominees, absolutely.
We've got some new people that have really contributed a lot. The new volunteers and leadership have contributed. I want to have a leadership meeting. I'll drop this on everybody's surprise. For Thursday, we'll work on a time for that date, probably early evening, 7 o'clock. I will offer to let anyone else here join that meeting, but just be on mute and listen.
Yeah, everyone is invited, I'm sure.
There are no secret meetings.
Yeah. I just will say we have president, vice president, treasurer, we have membership coordinator, program coordinator. Patrick St. Cyr is our host here at the church and arranges for our speakers, so he's program coordinator. And Cody and John are kind of the shared competition coordinators. I'm not sure how that works out, but we do also... Yeah, we've got it down now. And anyone who would like to learn and see how the club is run can always volunteer to be a committee. And we have the show coordinator, Verlin, who's a kind of appointed volunteer. So Verlin.
And we have the gentleman that makes everything happen. That makes everything happen for us.
All of the officers' positions and roles and responsibilities are on the club website. You can look for that too if you have any doubts. It's not terribly time consuming. A couple of things need to get done each month, but we'd be very glad for the different opinions and ideas that you have anytime. Okay.
We need people to volunteer and help the volunteer positions because print competition needs help. Ed can always use help getting his stuff in and out of the building. Thank you, Ed, for doing the video and for providing all the equipment necessary to make this happen. I have started revising the survey for this year. It's going to be a little shorter than last year's, but pretty much the same, so we can correlate the 2-year survey. It will also include an opportunity to participate in competition themes and the number of themed competitions we have. So that'll be on the survey. Anything else? Oh, go ahead.
Are we next year, with allergies, my voice just doesn't hold it. For next year, for the competition themes, are we looking to keep similar themes, or are we looking for more of a challenge, or are we, I mean, what, can you give me a feel for what the club is thinking? Because it seems like a lot of our themes repeat, and we only have, we do 2 opens a year, so that leaves us with 10, and we have the holiday, so that leaves us with like 6 or 8.
I consider it completely open to what
Okay.
we do. I think it's this group of individuals' responsibility to add new themes to the list. I want to present some themes so we have something to start with. But if you want to do something like upside down nudes, we can include that on the list.
I'm just thinking, like, one thing we should do is maybe try one theme 1 month that's a little more challenging, just to like get folks out of their rut. That would be my suggestion.
Oh, I would love to have you help us come up with themes. Now, John, Lisa, we can't have African animals as a theme.
I just want to say, I think there's a couple of rambles coming up.
Say again,
There's a
Mark?
couple of photo walks coming up, I think.
Okay,
And I'm just looking at the Round Rock, there's the Guadalupe River, the annual Guadalupe River one coming up on the 20, on the, shoot, I thought, on the 26th, 28th. 28th.
yeah, these are on the
They're on
Facebook
the
page,
website.
I'm
I just want to say
sure.
that there's a couple of them coming up in October, so if people are interested, including the Taylor County Car Show, which looks really interesting. In Taylor, yeah.
And that's a nice car show.
We need to embrace artificial intelligence in some way. We can't stay behind.
Are you asking for an artificial-based intelligence?
I'm not
An AI?
asking, I'm saying that we should embrace it. We shouldn't stay behind.
I agree that we should embrace AI, and there are several ways to embrace AI. At Texas School, I was in a class that was very much about AI helping you conceive your images and put them together, and also digital painting. Terry Butler is the lady that did the class. She's from San Antonio Pipe Creek, to be more precise. Terry is just unbelievably gifted as an artist. And she does things like use Midjourney and other AI tools to get a concept. And then she paints that concept with digital brushes. She also does things like take a picture of 2 baboons that are separated by 30 feet, put them together within a few feet of each other. So it's this embracing moment that is completely constructed with her tools. In a competition at Texas PPA, she won the competition for a totally AI generated image. It looks like a painting. It was generated with an AI prompt that was probably 120 lines of text to tell the AI what she wanted. But AI is a tool that we need to embrace. We need to embrace it for ideas.
Yes.
It's not something that we want to, I don't think we want to go so far as to try to do AI images yet. I think that takes a real artist to do that, and I'm a mechanic that clicks a button.
We are artists. We can have a 50% AI and 50% our pictures or so.
Yeah, I think we need to bring this up in the officers' meeting, and you can join online. Go ahead, John.
One other thing is, once again, Round Rock Art does competitions, and they've got one up, Culture's coming up, that just talks about in culture, and Carol's on the board, and she always makes sure that the photography gets recognized. It's wonderful, but the entries are open right now for that. It's a jury, they select and then they put them up, and that's it.
Carol, are there special requirements for images in that competition?
The one that they have open now is culture, it's something cultural, and it can be anything, people, places, buildings. The work has to be printed, it has to be printed and framed and wired, but it can be any size. They have no restrictions, I mean, really, other than, I think if it's really large print, they don't want you to use glass, they want you to use, just because of the weight. But they spell out all the requirements on the website.
So any of us with large print could contact you.
It's on their website too, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can contact me.
And it's an art show, so it's not just photography, so it's,
It's Round Rock Arts.
It's roundrockarts.org, and they have regular shows. They run 3 galleries. They run Jester Gallery, Texas State, and Penfold Gallery, and they have sales in all of their galleries. Everything's for sale. Most of the work is for sale. You can put it up not for sale, but they've sold work in all of their shows, I think, this year. So I can't say they sold all the photography every show, but there's potentials for sales, and they have openings. The last opening they had Ballet Folklorico perform, and they have food, and their openings are quite well attended.
John, could you or Carol add a little write-up to post so we can find this
You bet.
via the webpage?
Yeah, and also, Round Rock, the city of Round Rock has a museum now, and they're starting to display. They've invited Leslie to show some of her work, and initially it's an invitation for the startup, but they're going to do. The city of Round Rock also does shows and stuff in their new gallery. It's kind of going to be nice.
I'll talk to that briefly, but the city of Round Rock is putting in something called a Paseo, and they're going to put an additional gallery in that, and they're eventually going to put studio space. But for their interim, what they've done is they've taken over the old Downtowner Gallery, which is a gallery next to the fountain in Petit Plaza, and they do digital art shows where they put stuff. You can just enter a JPEG, and they put it on the TV, the LED display, and they have a physical gallery where you can also put work up. And that's one of the things. And one thing we should do as a club also is there's the people who interview for the Round Rock Gallery. I'm going to get their name wrong, but they're Go Here, Do That. The guy from Go Here, Do That. He does like a podcast, and he goes to art shows frequently and interviews people who are up. Those of us who were in the Downtowner show, the photography show they did, it's called Shutterbugging. They interviewed all of us and put it up on the YouTube channel. And we should try to get them to come to one of our gallery shows, like maybe not Water to Wine, it's a little tight deadline, but maybe like either the Jester one or the Pflugerville one. We could maybe contact them and ask if artists are interested, if you're showing your work, if you would be interested in being like interviewed and videoed by them, and then they put it on YouTube. So it's something to think about.
Since AI came up in our discussion already, in PPA print competition, the general rule has been for years that it must be your image and you need to make the changes to it, or you can have someone edit the image under your instruction. So years ago when they did physical prints, they would have somebody print it, they would have somebody mat it. If they had torn edges, they would have somebody do that. There were people that actually consulted to help them make images that were merit worthy. So their rules are basically, you have to do it or it has to be done under your direction. I don't think they ever said whether it had to be a biological entry or not. So I think if you consult AI and it says that you should darken this part of the frame, darken that part of the frame. Go ahead, Carol.
Just something really quick, we might want to add in our, on our sheet when they upload images, that the photographer maybe discloses if AI was used in creating the image, like a checkbox. That way the judges can tell if it's an AI image or not, and that way also, I mean, now I'm not saying we can talk about, do we want to disqualify or leave them in?
The question is, where is that edge? Because if you,
That's different than what you're really thinking.
I think there's an edge and it's way past what Photoshop can do, that you start into getting into AI generated art. I think that it is reasonable from PPA point of view to say, if the Adobe tools can do it, short of Firefly, it's legitimate editing of your captured image.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, maybe if it's a completely generated image, like from a prompt, maybe put a checkbox in or something so that we know that it was generated, as opposed to, you know, because you're right. I mean,
But I'm
even
not-
just using
if
a
I
clone
use
stamp, you can use
AI tool to select and remove power lines. That's not anything I couldn't have done myself in 4 hours.
Right, but if you say generate an image of blah, blah, blah with no power lines and you push return, that's a generative image, right? So what I'm saying is, when people upload an image, there should be a way for them to say was a generated image, not just, you know.
We can
You see what I'm
continue
saying?
this in leadership
Yeah,
meeting.
I think it's something to think about, though, and that's where it should be, is maybe when the photographer uploads the image. Do you want it?
All right, I think we can go ahead and get started in image competition. I was one of the judges, and I've gone through everything several times. I've noticed some things that I've commented on previously. For example, we've got images that have just metadata added to the title of the image. I'll call it metadata. There's one, Bloom Mono 1. There's another one that's got a date attached to the end of it. People are not being real careful with their titles here. In PPA competition, your title will be read to the judges before they see your image. So the title is the first introduction a judge gets to your image. So, for instance, look into my eyes. They're looking for eyes. That's what they're expecting to see when that image appears for them. So we had some titles that could be improved. I noticed 2 images going through them that had blur or banding, gradient banding in the background. The banding occurs when you have a very shallow gradient of color or tone, and 8-bit data isn't adequate to represent it. It's something that you can address in the processing.
The website definitely affects what you upload. It's not the same.
I cannot own the website. We chose it, and we're just going to have to live with it. So if you upload your image and you look at it on the website and you can see banding, you need to change your image.
That's on the website.
Well, find us a better one.
And make more don't try to make that such a major part of it. Because
I didn't make it a major part of it. PPA considers it a major part of a technically correct image.
Okay.
So anyway, 2 images had banding in them. And I noticed looking at the metadata, there were several that had metadata that didn't really match what needed to be done to capture the image. So Cody, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Okay.
So we don't need to do anything with these, it's already on.
It's on. Add a clay and turn them up.
All right.
That looks like next week's light painting.
All right, let's get started. So theme is monochrome. So this would be the basic category. We have 10 images. So we'll do a quick run through to view them, and then we'll switch to judges to do their critiques. Okay, so first up, we have seasons ending. Next, we have trusty steed. My sunshine. A journey through the city's soul. Looking up to the horizon. Versailles 3. Lonely Xenia. Let's see. Dreamy Opsis. Bloom Mono 1. There we go. Texas Star Cauldron Ray Hicks 091425. And Golden Grill. All right, first up is seasons ending.
Okay, that's mine. My first thought when looking at this is that the artist was referring to the big tree in front that had lost most of its leaves. But then I started thinking, well, there's graves of people whose season had ended. Or maybe he or she was trying to convey the season was ending for both. And I wonder if the artist could have either moved over to the left a little bit to see if they could have gotten a view of that tree in front of more open sky so that it would stand out a little more, or maybe move closer and shot up at an angle to achieve the same effect of differentiating that tree from the rest of the trees. Otherwise, I thought the cropping was, well, yeah, the cropping was appropriate, and the colors were not too dark or light. So it was mainly trying to offset that one tree.
Okay. Next, we have trusty steed.
So I think this is a really impactful image. I'm a big fan of high contrast black and white, so I just like the way it pops. I think the composition is really nice. I enjoy the horse looking off to the right, but then the light leads me back in. I think the diagonal stripe of light adds a lot of energy. There's a bit of a story to it, right? Like this is a very nostalgic item, and it's very isolated. There's no people, there's no other context around it, and that adds to that sort of nostalgic, maybe melancholy feeling. I think the exposure is really great. Nothing is blown out that I care about either. Blacks aren't clipping, whites aren't clipping. Maybe could play with the exposure a tiny bit more. I think a couple of the hooves being in shadow, they could be brought out a little bit more so that all of the horses is standing out from the background. And this is a personal tasting. We didn't all agree. I would darken the shadows on the cobblestones even further, especially in the foreground, to go towards a minimalism image. But others actually enjoyed the texture of the cobblestone. So I don't think that's like a right or wrong. That's just a personal preference thing. But all in all, it's a really, really, really striking image. Really, really impactful. I guess one other minor suggestion might be even to play with a transform tool in Photoshop or Keystone Effect and see if you get the horse all the way to vertical, and maybe that column on the left as well, if you want to be super picky. But yeah, great image.
Yeah, I enjoyed the detail in the grays of the cobblestone.
Yeah.
They're not as visible on this screen as they are looking at it on your personal monitor.
Okay. Next is My Sunshine.
That one I get to critique. When I first looked at it, it was just, wow, I love the detail in the flower. But then as you continue to look at it, there's this big blurry background that doesn't really contribute to the image. This could be cropped much closer and get a little contrast in the flower that's in the center. It's clearly the subject, it's sharply focused, it's nicely done. But it has an opportunity to be much better with just cropping and then go in and select the flower and add contrast to it.
Okay. A Journey Through the City's Soul.
Okay, we all like this one a lot. It tells a good, easy to follow story depicting a working class guy getting ready to take a subway from the heart of Manhattan past Central Park through Harlem, I presume, on the way to the Bronx, taken at a good shutter speed to show the movement of the train. And good focus on the guy and the signs. He is isolated, which makes him stand out more. I think it has good tonal range, and it's cropped closely to focus on the story. Personally, I mean, I would have tried to erase the letters in the top right up there, that T and whatever, just a little bit distracting. And we had different ideas about the cropping, but that's what, that was my preference.
It's a nicely done, high contrast, black and white. And a little bit of border control takes it just to the next click up.
Okay. Looking Up the Horizon.
So this is a really fun view, another like striking, impactful image. It's a little bit abstract. When I do look up at buildings, obviously they're the other way around. They're not behind me and towering over me. So it's kind of a cool inversion of my experience of reality. I love the geometry in it. I love the contrast in the building especially. It's really cool. It's good use of rule of thirds, more or less, the balance between the building and the sky. I think the building's more interesting, so I'm glad it gets more of the frame. I would like to see a little more contrast in the sky so that its grays get a little bit closer to some of the tones in the building. At the moment, I think the building dominates, and the sky needs to be there, right? It's got the organic shapes to offset the strict geometry of the building, but a little more contrast and it would hold its own a little bit better. It'd have better weight balance. I love the attention to detail with the framing. The patios, the diagonals from the top left and top right corner were perfectly aligned. Yeah, it's a cool image.
Okay. Versailles 3.
The monitor does not do this image justice. There is detail on both sides of the stairwell. There's detail in the foreground. It is an absolutely gorgeous image, well framed. This is an image of a lifetime, to be able to get there to this kind of location and get the scene without people in it. It draws you in, it brings you right up to this entrance way up high that you can just see. The maker needs to do some reprocessing on this to take it to the next level. This is one of the images with banding. You can't see it on the screen, but up above the lighted triangle up there, the dark grays just go into funny shapes because of the banding. But outstanding image, outstanding capture. You probably have enough information in the raw file to turn this into a much better competition image.
Okay. Lonely Zinnia.
Okay, we had a problem with this one. I mean, just because almost everything is out of focus. The petals on the the main zinnia were kind of in focus, but the flowers themselves weren't. The objects in the background were more blurry, so I started wondering if the artist was having everything out of focus on purpose to try and convey some sort of feeling or message, but I don't know. And the title says Lonely Zinnia, but then there's another one on the right there. So it didn't quite fit. But on the other hand, I mean, I thought, well, and also the white could have been toned down up in the top and on the little bit on the bottom towards the right there. Those were a little too bright. Otherwise, the subject was positioned well, and I thought the crop was okay. So it was just the focus that just got to us.
Okay, next is NAPfS Bloom Mono 1.
This is beautiful. The lighting on it is just stellar. We don't see basic photographers control the light like this. And this is either done with, has to be done with artificial light to get that much fall off in the background. It's either a strobe or a single source. The gradations, the gray, are just all you could ask for. There's almost white, tailing off to virtually absolute black. Speaking in hexadecimal, it's 020202. It's just, it covers all the bases. It's an interesting subject. I would buy this at a show to put on my wall.
Okay, and then next we have Texas Star Cauldron, Ray Hicks, 091425.
So this is a really cool image. I think it's really well composed. I love the subject matter. The title suits it really nicely. The star is inside a cauldron. I don't know if that part of the building is actually called a cauldron, if that's a literal name or it's just storytelling, but I took it as storytelling. I love the tonal range. There's a lot of variety of grays. I like the way the center glows. I think the columns frame the circle really well. The use of whatever lens was used has a little bit of that barrel distortion from like the fisheye effect, and that adds to the curviness of the front. Really, really, really cool. Couple technical suggestions. If you zoom way in on the image, that room to the background has a lot of places where dark shadows intersect with highlights and turn into these really strange black blobby artifacts. It's hard, you can't see it on the screen, but if you look at it on the website later. Once I saw those, they're very prominent throughout the background. So that attention to detail when you're processing, I think probably is from pushing the curves in Photoshop to get the contrast. Maybe mask out the background and soften that up a little bit or something. Also, the photographer wasn't quite centered for the foreground room. There's the line between the tiles, the grout line that's lit up by the light is to the left of center. The column on the right cuts off the frame, but the column on the left doesn't fully. So I do like to be particular. If you step a tiny bit left, you might have been able to center more. But then I'm not sure if that would have thrown the background off center. Maybe the building itself is not symmetrical, in which case maybe the architect has to have something to say.
Never the architect.
Oh yeah, the construction crew, that's right. The architect probably nailed it. But yeah, it's a lovely image. Really, really, really nicely done.
Okay, and then last we have Golden Grill.
Okay, this is mine. Just when you first look at it, it's a striking picture with its color and its sharpness. I thought it was cropped enough to focus on the grill. Oh, this doesn't seem to show us, but shows part of the car, which gives us more info to process. I like the rows of shadows coming down, the zigzag row of shadows. The row of little white lights that also come down on the right kind of bother me. I don't know if there's anything that could be done about that. And we decided that in the lower right, could have brought out some more detail. It kind of loses some of the detail there, which is a little bit distracting, but I mean, it's just a really striking picture, I think.
Okay. We can go to judge's choice. Okay, so we have 3 awards. So in third place, we have Trusty Steed by Austin Lane. Austin Lane?
Yeah.
So this one, I was at the Fort Worth Stockyards wandering around with, I think I had just started messing around with film cameras, so this was some black and white film, and I think it was like midday, and the Stockyards, it's a lot of like narrow alleyways, so there was just this really striking light shining down over this horse, and I caught it, and I thought it was really fun.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Second, we have NAPfS Bloom Mono 1 by Christian Davis.
So that's me. So you're spot on. It's artificial light. I had just bought a pair of small strobes by Godox that screw onto a plate on the front of the lens. So they're right on the lens, and was playing with it with macro with this little succulent on my porch. Flower's like 2 centimeters tall, 3 centimeters maybe. It's real small. And yeah, I want to say I got lucky. It's a really boring flower, totally monochrome anyway, and it's all about the texture and the alienness.
Yeah. Nice.
I'll ask you a question I got asked years ago.
Yeah,
Could you do it again?
maybe. I want to. I need to wait for it to bloom again and or find another interesting flower.
Find another interesting flower.
Working on it.
Okay, and then in first place, we have A Journey Through the City's Soul by Eric Reeder. Nope. Okay. All right, we'll go to People's Choice. Okay, so we have 3. So in bronze, we have Versailles 3 by Jolyn Zamudio. Say something? No. Okay. And in silver, we have Christian. And in gold, we have Eric with The Journey Through the City Soul. All right. Intermediate. Okay. Mine, all mine. Place of solitude. Caribbean Sea. Not enough for 4. The dark web. Piece of glacier floating away. I call. Discarded. Winslow, Arizona. And Echo from the Past. Images. First up is Mine, all mine.
I'm going to say very impactful image on almost every image because that's what this competition is all about. I think black and white lends itself that way, but this image hits me right in the face the minute I see it. There's so much energy and excitement. The story's really strong. The subject is thrilling. The expression on the dog's face is fabulous. The focus is good. The shutter speed is great to really stop the motion. If you zoom in, the drool is crisp, which maybe, depending on who your audience is, you might remove the drool. I think it adds to the image, but not everybody necessarily will agree. The tonality suits it really nicely. There's a lot of different tones. Nothing's blown out that I care about. Couple minor suggestions. Not sure what to do about the background. I do think the way this lens renders busy backgrounds out of focus is a little bit eye-catching to me and distracting. maybe cropping a little bit off the top would help remove some of that, or maybe playing with Photoshop to blur, although that looks artificial real fast. So maybe nothing. One other idea that came up when our judges discussion is if there was more to the left, even though the dog's head and the Frisbee are balanced right now around the center pretty nicely, the dog's looking left, the dog's about to run left, having some room for the dog to move into visually can help the viewer feel part of the story. But yeah, it's a fabulous image. Absolutely would put this on my wall.
Okay. Next is A Place of Solitude.
This is just classic architectural photography. The maker took full advantage of an old bank in downtown Pflugerville. The light is provided by the bank, but the exposure and the detail that's in every bit of this is just, it's all you could ask for in the image. Place of Solitude, the bench in the pool of light just invites you to sit there. I've toyed with the idea of what would I ask a model to wear if I put him on that bench. I see an elderly man sitting on the bench by himself. There's just very little to improve on this image. I find it a little disturbing that it's cut off so much on the left-hand edge. It's such an abrupt chop there. I understand why it's that way, but there's applications that could extend that darkness easily. You don't need anything over there but space. If I was going to put this in Texas level or merit level competition, I might do something about fixing the missing bricks up there. It's there, but it's a distraction in the image. If it could be repaired and a little space on the left, it would just take this image up to the next level. Very, very nicely done.
Okay, next we have Caribbean Sea.
Okay, this one has a really beautiful sky. So that's the main attraction to the picture to me. But then when you look down and you see the car there and the other buildings, I can't remember. Was that a car dealership or something like that? I can't remember.
Real business, I forgot.
Realtor or something, yeah.
Realtor.
So that, it doesn't really add to the scene. So I was thinking, well, if the maker could have gotten down at street level, on the other side of the street, so that you got mainly the sky, the couple of boats, maybe a couple of palm trees in there, then that would have really added to the scene, and yes, the Caribbean Sea, it would have made it a stronger image.
This is one of the other images we noticed banding in the gray just above the palm tree. If you look closely there, there's rectangular blocks of mismatched color, sharp edges. And that's another way banding is visible. This is a case of needing to go in and blur it, check it as you go through the tool chain. If you're editing in Photoshop, edit in 16-bit. So you can keep control of all the information that's in that space.
Okay, next we have Not Enough for Four.
So this is another really high energy dynamic image. Really super attention grabbing immediately. The high contrast draws the eye, the action of the birds draws the eye. The scene is really, really, really cool. The birds are a little close to the top of the frame, which I don't think you can do anything about because the photographer had to move real fast to get this photo in the first place. But maybe cropping a little bit off the bottom would help them feel a little more balanced. the top right of the image would normally be kind of empty space because the birds on the right are a little bit smaller, a little bit lower, but the curb coming in helps fill that up. It's overexposed on the right, but that doesn't bother me with the curb because it's really just visual filler. The texture on the birds' heads is fabulous, but when you start looking in real close, a lot of the grays are smoothed out in a weird way. So the primary feathers on the birds kind of glow from being overexposed. I think that's a cool effect. But then in the dark shadows, especially on the far left bird's wing, there's zero texture and it's not totally black. And then having seen that, the legs on the second bird are the same way. The third bird that's looking down at the squirrel, its outer wings, there's zero feather definition at all. It's like some sort of smoothing tool was used, or maybe liquify or something in Photoshop, which is a strange effect that once I saw started to really distract me. So I'd encourage the photographer, if possible, to revisit the raw file and see if the information is there to maybe reprocess this and not blur those elements quite as much. But it's a really, really cool scene with a ton of energy, and what an amazing moment to have captured. So well done.
Okay. Next we have the dark web.
This one just drew me in. It got my attention, then I had to figure out what it was. And it's a very nice play with light on found object. I believe it's packing paper, coarsely cut packing paper. It works nicely. There's good tone control there. It's almost zone 1 to zone 10. It might be better if it was a little more closely cropped and remove some of this lower dark right corner. But a nice study in monochrome and lighting.
Next we have piece of glacier floating away.
Well, we had to say that this one was non-compliant because it wasn't monochrome, because you got the whites, the greens, the yellows. Other than that, I noticed 3 things that drew my focus: the ice, the tree reflections at the top, and the abstract patterns in the bottom. And I think I would have preferred it if the artist could have composed it in a way so that only the ice and the abstract items were in the picture, because it's just too much to focus on with the 3 different elements. The ice is in focus, not too bright, and the patterns don't have too much texture, which I think would have detracted. So I like those aspects, but we couldn't give it a great score because it wasn't compliant.
Why it's not compliant? The white color belongs to other colors.
He's asking like what's not compliant.
The
Because
white,
it's got green and blue in it.
Yeah.
2 colors, not 1.
which are, it's a green, different shades of green.
I don't understand.
Different shades of green instead of like yellows and blues. I'm guessing he thinks that the water is more like a tealish green and everything else is green too.
Okay, we'll move on.
Okay.
All right, next is I call.
So this is a really cool scene, really fun, high drama, high action. It's well staged, it's well focused. The edges are clean. There's nothing intersecting that's distracting. The action's contained well. The diagonal from his head to hers is a good action line, and it's a cool subject and particularly well suited to a monochrome treatment, which is awesome. I might have played with a sepia tone on this just because that's kind of the cliche for Old West, is everything's yellowed with age. And yeah, it's a cliche, but cliches work. So for me, that would have been an enhancement. I also, the more I look at the image, it starts to feel a little bit static for such a dynamic moment. Like all the shot glasses are upright, the whiskey bottle's upright, his arm is resting comfortably on the table. It starts to look staged, and I think something could have been done with sort of the model direction to knock a couple things over, ensure that nobody's in a resting position, and that would have supported the drama of the moment even a little bit more strongly. But it's a really great image. One other suggestion that came out was consider photoshopping some of the tattoos. They're also anachronistic for the time period. That's personal choice. I don't mind tattoos, but I get the point of it for sure. But yeah, super cool. Nice work.
Okay, next we have discarded.
Very sharp image of a penny on asphalt. Nice job of getting focus. There's no significant depth of field required in this image. I find the white in the gravel distracting from the brightness of the penny. I also looked at the metadata on this one, and the shutter speed is above what was used for capturing the border collie in action. It's just, the maker needs to go back and consider how they configure their camera, the 3 basic parameters to capture an image like this. Nicely processed, good placement of the Cohen within the bit of asphalt. I'm not sure what I would do if I wanted to turn it into a more interesting image. Possibly, I think a different background would be a good choice. Maybe a pile of change, focusing on one penny with real shallow depth of field.
Okay. Next we have Winslow, Arizona.
Okay, this title tells a good story. Winslow, Wild Wild West. I kind of wish the shadow that goes all the way up, I wish it was maybe a little shorter or a little not quite as dark or something, because it kind of leads my eye away. I mean, I like most of the stuff about the picture. I think if the artist could have moved a little bit to get the top of the hat wholly within the frame of the lighter colored bricks, it would have looked a little tidier. And another little picky thing, if he could have made the boots a little darker compared to the bricks, make it stand out a little bit more. But I mean, that's just something really picky.
I think this is a good example of a chosen title, because you see standing on the corner and you have to say Winslow, Arizona, following it. So it has a bigger title that draws you in.
Okay, and then last we have Echo from the Past.
So this is a really interesting image. In a way, it's 2 images to my mind. I see the cityscape and the texture from the cables, the net effect of the cables is all very visually compelling. I like the direction of the lines from the cable net, I don't know what to call it. And that sort of mirrors the lines of the people. But then when I start to look at the people, I get kind of stuck in the group of people, and that keeps me kind of in the bottom right corner of the image. And I'm not really looking at the city as much anymore. It's hard for me to process the whole image as one. I kind of almost wish it was either of those more than both. Maybe stepping to the right and getting more enmeshed in the crowd would have made it more of an image of the people, and I would have gone deeper into that story. Similarly, the direction that the foreground couple and their child are looking. He looks at her, she looks off to the right. That takes that energy of my eye and takes me off the right side of the image, and then I'm out of it. I wonder what she's looking at, so it's engaging. There's a little bit of story, but then there's nothing to pull me sort of back in. And I think, again, stepping to the right and being more in the crowd would have done that. Another suggestion I have on this image that I think might have gelled the cityscape to the people a little bit more is a bit more contrast on the cityscape. Like the non-people portion of the image is real flat in terms of contrast, and then the people are much, much higher contrast. And so again, like I'm in one or the other, and it's hard to be in both. But I like the nostalgia of it. I think the monochrome treatment suits this idea of like the old-fashioned city, the old-fashioned cables on a kind of bridge you don't see as much anymore. And so there's a lot of strength in this image that I do enjoy. So good work.
Okay. Now we go to judge's choice. We have 3. So in third place, we have I Call by Vance Strickland.
This was in late August. Precision had a model shoot thing going on at the Buggy Barn over in Blanco. And so they had a bunch of photographers out there doing stuff. So it was hot, it was messy, we were all sweating our guts out. But if you wait until later in the day, it's like, okay, hey look, there's 2 models standing there. Psst, Robert. Poker table, saloon, 2 models. Let's go. It was like, yeah. And so we go and set something up pretty on the fly. So that's where I came from.
Oh, great. Okay. Second place, we have A Place of Solitude, Larry Feo.
Well, as Bill pointed out, this is an old bank in Pflugerville, and it's right next to the Probst Tavern, where we go and have a couple of our meetings once in a while. The heavy crop on the left was due to a big tattoo sign hanging off the corner of the building.
There's an app for that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But I took a lot of time trying to work on the rest of this. I played with several of the different presets, actually about 7 of them, to which monochrome preset I wanted to use on it. Worked a lot on balancing the light out on it because it was a little harsh toward the left side compared to the rest of it. And I wanted to preserve whatever shadows were in there, particularly the ones on your bench. And this was actually coming out of one of our 5th Thursday meetings. I saw this, and unfortunately I had an 85mm on my camera, and that wasn't going to work too well because I tried backing up. I had all these cars in the way. So then I went back with the 40 that I've got, which is extremely flat, and got this.
Nicely done.
Okay, and in first place, we have Mine All Mine, Shelton. Say something?
So, lack of things to do on a Sunday morning. When I saw some people advertising the disc dogs. So I went out there, and there were a bunch of people practicing for a competition. And it was a challenge because these dogs move really fast. And the frisbee is also moving. And I had a long lens. I started off standing up, and that wasn't working out because I was getting too much of the ground. So I sat down, and that was challenging after a while. So I tried to lie back, but I was getting my feet in it. So I had to kind of like half lay, half sit to do it, so I could catch them when they actually go up into the air. And one thing I would say is, if you're ever doing this, make sure you have a spotter if you're using a long lens, because these dogs are traveling so fast and they're so focused on that disc. If the disc comes over you, they are coming over you too. So.
Nice choice of shutter speed and aperture on this one.
Okay, go to People's Choice. This one we have 4 images. So in bronze, we have I Call, Advance. In silver, we have a tie. So first is Not Enough for 4 from Roberto White. I think Roberto's here. Is he online? No. Okay, and then also in silver is Mine on Mine, Shelton. And then gold is Place of Solitude, Larry. All right, go to advance. Okay, we got 7 images. See first, the dead. Let's go back. The dead of old Saint Jerome Taos Pueblo. Red, red rose. Abandon. Look into my eyes, you're feeling sleepy. The cell building. Ferns. And old grain storage room. All right, first up is the dead of old St. Jerome, Taos Pueblo.
Beautiful image. Nice ability to be in the right place at the right time to get the dramatic sky above. I like the way the maker chose his position relative to the bell and the tower, so you see that bell. The crosses in the foreground tend to point towards the center of the bell tower. As you look closer at this, there's some issues. Probably the least of those is there's more black sky than you need to tell the story. It just grabs you with a black, white, black sandwich. They're kind of equal in size and density. The shaded mountains lack detail. Probably not a major point. But when you look at the center point, the point of interest right in the center of that bell tower, things get a little soft on it. Even the less eroded adobe isn't as sharp as some of the other areas in the image. But being in the right place at the right time is important to images.
Okay, next we have red, red rose.
All right. I thought this one had excellent color, good focus on the center there, nice shadows, and, good composition overall. The only thing that bugged me was the amount of texture in those outer petals on the left, which I started thinking, well, maybe it's not a real rose, and in that case, you know, if it was made out of felt or something, then I get it. But if it was a real rose, then it just bothered me just because we have roses and but that was the only thing that negative thing I had to say about it, or negative thought I had about it.
You know, when you look closely at anything in magnification, you see things you've never noticed before.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, next we have abandoned.
So this is a really fun image, really striking. I'm going to say impactful again. It immediately grabs my attention and draws me in. There's a lot of story to it. I enjoy the juxtaposition between the straight lines and the rigidity of the man-made objects versus the curvier sand dunes. I think that's a cool balance. I think that's enhanced by the deeper contrast on the structure with less contrast on the sand. So again, I've got kind of a duality or a juxtaposition. I love that not all of the lines are parallel to each other. The door is askew. The frames aren't perfectly aligned to each other. There's kind of a visual pathway in because the first doorway is a little bit to the right of center. The second doorway is to the left of center, and then the door itself is off, and then there's a hidden doorway back in the back. And so it draws me in. I want to take that path. I want to walk that and see what's there.
Track up the beautiful sand.
Exactly. Add even more footprints to the sand. It suggests to me like science fiction and fantasy, and I wish the title maybe went in that direction as well. I mean, it's a great title, don't get me wrong, but like maybe Abandoned Portal or something that suggests the journey that image suggests to me. But that just shows how drawn in I am. I think it's really strong image.
Okay, next we have Look Into My Eyes, You're Feeling Sleepy.
Just wow. Every little hair, every whisker, every eyebrow is sharp. I've always had problems photographing cats when I shot mirrored cameras, DSLRs. I had one cat that could close her eyes quicker than the shutter opened. The mirror moved, she closed her eyes. This is just gorgeous. There's nothing out of focus in the foreground. It's a pretty shallow depth of field. You're going to have that with the macro lenses. So the background blur just contributes to it. Kind of going back on titles, which is my drum to beat tonight. Look Into My Eyes is probably adequate for the title for this one. You don't need to say you're feeling sleepy. It's just look into my eyes, I own your soul.
Okay, next we have The Cell Building.
Okay. I thought this was taken from a good angle. I like the effect of the blurred effect up on top that makes it look like wind coming in against the left side of the building. It makes it look like a sail. Everything is crisp, clear, and contrasty architectural photo style that gives it a futuristic look. So to me, it showed good creativity and a lot of impact.
Okay, next we have Ferns.
So this is a really fun image. I love the soft palette. The grays suggest like a silver gelatin kind of a print to me. There's a little bit of a glow to it. I love the repeating pattern of the fern. I think the angle it's at is really good. The camera, I don't know, rotational tilt is right so that the diagonals down are soft and not too aggressive. So that fits the mood of kind of the soft texture of the fern. It's really cool. It's a real narrow depth of field, and there's nothing in the image I don't want to see. So you could have used a narrower aperture and brought those back fronds, is the word I think, more into focus. Pardon me. And real minor, but on the very bottom left corner, there's two little bits of leaf frond coming into the image. And since everything else is kind of going down into the right or up into the left, they distract a tiny bit, but they're real small. One other potential suggestion for this image is it could use another element. It would be a different image, but like if there was a fallen leaf from a different kind of plant to contrast or an insect walking across it, that could have been an interesting visual element. But I like the minimalism take, so that's not an actual suggestion. That's just something to think about or play with. But really good image.
Okay. And next we have Old Grain Storage Room.
It's not real visible in this screen, but this is a sepia toned image. It's just what you'd expect for a whole grain storage image. I've tried to take this image several times. It's one of the missions in San Antonio. This is beautifully done. There is detail in every bit of the image. There's detail in the highlights. There's details in the shadow. The floor has detail in every stone. The leaves are not as dominant in the images I evaluated it. I don't know what I would suggest to improve this image. Clearly a single source of light coming through that door. The chandeliers are where you can see them. If you had an opportunity to stage this scene, you would want to add storage of grain, probably corn, and possibly a location to process that. This would just take it to the next level of storytelling. But I believe this is probably an HDR processed image, but beautifully done because it doesn't scream HDR to you. It just has detail from the whitest whites to the darkest blacks in the image.
Okay. That's that. We'll go to judge's choice. Okay. And third place, we have Look Into My Eyes, You're Feeling Sleepy. Dennis, what's your name?
I was out walking one morning when I was back home in Missouri and down a country road, and I came upon a litter of kittens, and they all just scattered when they saw me, except one. And he just sat there and looked at me. So, thank you, Cat.
Great. Next we have Abandon, Leslie Chatham.
So I took this in Coleman's Cop in Namibia. It's an abandoned diamond mining town. I took it near sunset. It's just an amazing place because you've got all these empty buildings and empty rooms, and the sand is taken over. It's nature taken over. So the light was coming in on the back, and I thought this was a cool scene.
You said it's in India. I've seen that.
No, it's not. No.
My son shot. I'd like to see because I don't know
Yeah.
that.
Did you take a lot of images, and this is the best one, or you
I
a lucky shot?
3 or 4, I think.
Yeah.
I waited for the light to come in and I could come
Pro.
I took one, no.
One and done.
Yeah.
Okay, and then first place, the Cell Building, Gary Hook. Okay, then we can go to People's Choice. Yeah. All right, we have 4. So there's a tie for bronze. So the first up is The Dead of Old St. Jerome, House Pueblo, Ty Lehman.
So this one, I was doing some experiments with the processing of adding film grain to it because I wanted it to look more like a film camera. And so, and with the old black and white, a lot of times you get some more coarse grain. And so I was trying to simulate that so there's grain in the sky and the contrast like the film days.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Also in bronze, we have the old grain storage room from Patrick. Patrick's here. And then silver, we have the Cell Building from Gary. And then gold is Abandoned, Leslie Chuck. And that's it.
Cody, thank you for making this happen.
Yeah, thanks to the judges for agreeing to judge.
You and John make half of our meetings happen. It's really appreciated. There was a lot of discussion earlier when we talked about PPA print competition. If people would like to send me an email, I can probably put together a Zoom meeting with a small number of people, and I will try to get someone, one of the master photographers out of APPA, to join us to help us go through how to prepare images and what it takes to have a quality image in PPA competition.
And I wanted to quickly apologize to Ed because I was running through the officers that we have in our club, and Ed is, I guess you could say, he's the media coordinator. So we want to thank Ed. He puts those videos on YouTube, and thank you, Ed, for doing all the work, bringing the equipment, making sure we can share our results with the community. But if someone would like to be a volunteer, you could call yourself a social media coordinator, communications coordinator, any of those titles. And we'll let Ed be what he does. So thanks for being out tonight. Anybody else?
Leslie?
I will actually do a write-up and get it published.
Thank you to the judges. Thank you, judges.
Thank you, Ed. I think that's it.